Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we're going to check out another of the 2021 Safari LTD figures, and in fact, it is the final of the 2021 Safari LTD figures as we take a look at the Mythical Tyrannosaurus Rex. Before we go any further with the review, I do want to state that Safari LTD was awesome enough to supply us with a discount code. If you haven't watched any of my previous Safari LTD reviews, I do want to let you know that if you do in fact want to pick up any Safari LTD figures, make sure you check the description as I will have a link right there for you to actually use. If you click that link and head over to the Safari LTD website through that link, it will automatically apply a 15% discount from any figures that you are interested in purchasing from the Safari LTD website. So make sure you take advantage of that code. Use the link through the description to head on over to the Safari LTD website and pick up either this or any other of the incredible figures that they have to offer today and save yourself some money. But as for this figure, again, this is the Mythical Tyrannosaurus Rex. We previously have taken a look at the Mythical Triceratops, which I was absolutely in love with. Well, we now have a very, very cool looking T-Rex from the Safari LTD line. And unfortunately, you might notice that there is a peg in here. Mine actually, for some reason, has a warped leg, which is prohibiting it from standing currently. I'm going to try the warm water, cold water trick. It should quickly and easily stabilize that leg back into a standing position, as I almost never have any issues at all when it comes to a Safari LTD figure having balancing issues. This is probably the first time, potentially ever actually, so I'm sure it'll be very easy to get that leg back into position. But I wanted to film the review now as I just got the figure out of the box, and again wanted to head straight into it with my initial thoughts, kind of taking a closer look for the first time with you guys, so let's go ahead and do that right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Rex, you can see that the head sculpt looks really cool, although you can't see quite as much of it as we would probably like, because he has kind of like this armored area over top of the head, which for the type of figure that it is, it makes sense that it would have that. But it's just, a little unfortunate that we can't really see the upper side of the head of the Rex, but he still looks really cool, and there are plenty of other Tyrannosaurs from the Safari LTD line that we can see the top of the head, so it's nice to have it switched up a little bit every once in a while. But you can see the eye is painted with a really nice yellowish coloration, given a nice black pupil. It also shines quite realistically, so it does have a nice gloss coat applied to it. You can see the nostrils sculpted out up here at the tip of the snout, and the actual detailing aspect of the head sculpt here is really quite nicely done. It looks beautiful overall, and they've actually brought the detail out really nicely with a dry brushing of a light green. So the head is primarily like this nice dark green, but then they've dry brushed this light green over top of it, and you can see that it really makes all that detail pop beautifully. It looks very, very cool overall as far as the way that that detail now shines quite nicely and quite realistically throughout the head sculpt of the Rex. That's a very, very cool touch on the part of Safari LTD. And you can of course see the armored area up here is painted very nicely and very similarly to the Mythical Triceratops with this really nice silver coloration. You can see it shines beautifully, so it does have a bit of a very shiny metallic type of a look, and I really like that aspect of the figure. One thing that's different about this one in comparison to the Mythical Triceratops, however, is on the Triceratops there almost appeared to be kind of like a wash that was applied to the armored area to sort of insinuate like maybe a little bit of rust, and we don't see that here on the Rex. That is not present here on this figure at all, at least that I'm seeing so far. I don't see that. But one thing that is really cool about this figure, and it's actually something you don't see often with Safari LTD, we have an articulated jaw. That is something that we most definitely don't see often from Safari LTD, but I really am happy to see that here on this figure, and I think that, again, allows a little bit of posability to the figure that you otherwise wouldn't have if the mouth wasn't articulated, so that's definitely a nice touch that I always welcome with open arms on almost any figure. And you can see the inside of the mouth is painted with kind of like a maroonish coloration, and then you have the teeth sculpted out individually and painted quite nicely as well. There's a little bit of sloppiness right here in the front of the mouth, right there on the upper jaw as far as the teeth goes, but it's not anything terrible. I would say it looks alright, and something that could easily be touched up if it was something that really bothered me. But again, the inside of the mouth looks really cool. The teeth, for the most part, appear to be painted really nicely. And again, everything in there looks really cool. The fact that we have the articulated jaw, though, I'm just super happy about that, because that's something I did not know was included with the figure initially, and I'm really happy. Once it arrived and I pulled it out, I opened the jaw, I was like, wow, that's awesome that there's an articulated jaw on a Safari LTD figure. So that little touch right there is really, really awesome. Moving back here into the neck, you can now see kind of like some skin wrinkles and stuff right here going on, as well as just generally some nice texturing to the neck of our Tyrannosaurus. And then as we move further down, we start to see some more of the armor here of the Tyrannosaurus, as well as the strap that is holding that armor on. And again, I'm really impressed with how nice and carefully the paint has been applied. Like, there doesn't really appear to be any sloppiness as far as the application of the paint. Like, you would think that potentially some of the silver could have run off onto the figure, or even the brown right here, but that is not the case. Safari LTD has done a great job as far as the actual application of the paint and making sure that it sticks to where it's supposed to be and looks really, really good. Very nice and careful paintwork on their part. And you can also see up here on the top of the Tyrannosaurus, the spinal column kind of elaborated a little bit as it runs down the course of the back. You can also pick up on the fact that it has some nice black stripes that run the course of the back of the Rex as well, and some more beautiful paintwork as we have the coloration kind of lighten from this nice darker green. It lightens down here on the side of the body with almost like an off-white, and then kind of like a mixture of that and like a yellowish wash, sort of. It's very strange the way they painted it, but it looks really cool. I can't quite grasp how exactly they've applied that paint, but it definitely looks neat, and it gives the figure a little extra color variation, so I like that as well. You can see here that the arms are very muscular on the front of the Rex. Of course, being a mythical Rex, we don't have to take into consideration scientific accuracy. That's not something we have to worry about with this figure, because straight away, well, there's already quite a bit that you would probably look at this Rex and say, well, that's not accurate. But just looking at the length of the arms as well is something that is not accurate. But being a mythical Tyrannosaurus Rex, it does not need to be accurate. You can see the fingernails are painted quite nicely. They also have a very beautiful gloss coat to them, so they shine very realistically. You can see some more of the armor here on the underside of the Rex, looking really, really cool, very nice and flashy, as well as lots of really beautiful detailing here on the actual skin of the Rex underneath the legs. Beautiful as far as that goes. You can see more armor over here, again, kind of blocking some of the areas we would normally comment on, like the musculature here in the thigh. You can't really take note of that due to the kind of armor here on the thigh. You can pick up on the musculature a little bit there in the calf, but again, we have some more very cool armor here on the front in like the shin area, and you can see the straps once again holding that on, perfectly painted yet again. As we move down into the foot, we can see the dew claw right there, very nice and carefully painted. Beautiful looking foot sculpt. Again, the nails are painted with a black, very nicely glossed, so they shine quite realistically. And then coming back up into the tail, we see some more really nice detailing here as we move out the length of the tail. The tail has a very sharp curve, like it completely curves back around to the front, facing the same direction that the Rex is actually going. And then as we lead out here into the tail, you can see more of the armor that is included on the Rex, as well as kind of like some spikes here on the tail, just to make sure that our Tyrannosaurus is as dangerous as he possibly can be. And then again, looking over here as we lead down into the neck, you see more of those kind of skin wrinkles and stuff in the neck region of our Rex. More of the armor here as we reach the body. Again, that nice strap right there. The arm is kind of held into the body a little further over here on this side in comparison to what we saw on the previous side, but you can get a really nice idea of how muscular the arms here of the Rex are on this side. Again, the very nicely painted nails like we had seen over there. You can kind of take note to some of the movement here of the Rex shown in the body right here as the armor ends and leads back into the leg. You can see lots of kind of skin wrinkling and stretching and stuff right there in the leg and stomach region. Very cool attention to detail, of course, on the part of Safari LTD. And you can also pick up on the rib cage a little bit right there as you come up out of the armor. Right in this area, you can kind of see the rib cage shining through a little bit. You can also pick up on the hip bone a little bit over here as well. And then we lead down into the leg. Lots of really nice armor again, like we had seen on the previous side. You can get a much better view of the foot sculpt over here than what we could see on the previous side. It looks beautifully done. Very nice scoots down the toes. Gorgeously painted nails yet again. Really nice looking foot sculpt. And then we lead back up here into the tail, and again we come out in that curved position. You can see that very nice color variation we spoke on earlier as it transitions quite nicely to that darker green up here on the top, and we again have the armor out here on the tail. So that is a really, really cool figure overall, and as far as a Mythical Tyrannosaurus goes, which this is easily the first one to enter my collection, this thing is awesome. Now, as far as a size goes on our Mythical Tyrannosaurus, from the tail to the snout there, you are looking at about 6.5 inches, or about the 16.5 centimeter range. And then for a height to the tip of the snout, which would probably be the highest point, you are just a little under 4.75 inches, or about 12 centimeters. For a size comparison, here are some other Safari LTD figures in comparison to our Mythical Tyrannosaurus Rex, which would include the 2021 Baryonyx we recently reviewed, as well as the 2021 Mythical Triceratops, which is one comparison that I figured you guys would like to see would be the Triceratops next to the Rex, as those are the only current mythical dinosaurs included with the Safari LTD line. All three of these are brand new 2021 releases, and hopefully in comparison to each other, they should give you a good idea in general of the size of each of the figures, but definitely a very nicely sized figure, I would say, all of which are pretty nicely sized mediums overall. So this Mythical Tyrannosaurus Rex is another awesome figure from Safari LTD for the 2021 year. Definitely something that initially I wasn't all that excited about because I didn't know how much I would really like mythical dinosaurs, but actually having them here in hand, I can see they are way nicer than I expected them to be, and definitely kind of a breath of fresh air as far as something that's fresh and new. It's something that really gives me that very strong Dinotopia feel, and I mentioned this numerous times with the Triceratops, and I think that's one of the most striking aspects of the figures overall, is how very similar they are kind of to the Dinotopia books and everything, as that's pretty much the only thing that I know of that would have that kind of mythical sort of dinosaur similar to this. But again, I grew up on the Dinotopia books, and I really loved the series that came after that, so this having such a strong similarity to that really, again, tugs at my heartstrings, I would say, as far as making me instantly fall in love with both of these figures. And just like I had said in the Triceratops review, I really hope that they continue this kind of mythical dinosaur line in the future. Of course, I'd like to see plenty more of the normal dinosaur releases, but also some more of the mythical dinosaurs in the future as well, so we can kind of get like an entire Dinotopia, I guess, at some point. But as far as this Rex goes, it is really nicely done, beautifully detailed, as always when it comes to a Safari LTD sculpt. It is very highly detailed, showing beautiful movement for the dinosaur in every area that you would expect to find it, as well as some incredibly nice skin texture and beautiful paintwork as well. I really love the way they've painted this Rex. They've given it many different tones of color, really nice dry brushing, and even including some washes and stuff, so that there's a lot of color variation included on the actual skin of the Rex, but also making it look very realistic, very lifelike overall as far as like the skin tone and everything goes. And then the inclusion of the armor making it look just about as cool as it could possibly get for a mythical Tyrannosaurus, again, really hammering out the beauty factor of the figure. And I think they've done a great job on the armor as well, with lots of really nice, very careful paintwork included, with the beautiful, very shiny silver colorations, and then the straps are painted again very carefully, very nicely. And on top of how impressive the sculpt of the figure is, I think the actual careful paintwork on both of the mythical dinosaurs that I've reviewed is also really nicely done and very impressive, aside from that one area on the teeth that is just slightly sloppy as far as that paint goes, but again, that's something that I could probably quite easily touch up. The only issue that I'm having currently with the figure at all is the fact that the leg came kind of warped, and now it doesn't want to stand at this point in time, but again, with a little hot water, cold water trick, that'll fix that right up, which if you don't know what that is, that's where you're going to run your hot water really hot and then put the foot underneath the hot water for a few seconds, maybe like 10 seconds, and then try to soften the material up enough to push it back into place where it should be, and then you put it under the cold water, and then it'll kind of freeze it in that spot, and then it should no longer fall. That might actually take a couple of attempts before it'll finally stay, but it's definitely a fairly decent solution to issues like this. And again, it's not something that I've ever had previously with a Safari LTD figure, would be a warped leg, so it's probably just kind of like a freak accident with this guy here, not something that I would imagine would be a common issue. But regardless, the figure as a whole is gorgeous. Another really cool mythical dinosaur from Safari LTD. So if you would like to pick this up, make sure you check the description, as again, I will have a link right there for you to click and follow the link over to the Safari LTD website, which will then automatically apply the 15% off discount, thanks to Safari LTD, who supplied that discount code to my channel, of course. A huge thank you goes out to them for that. So make sure you check the description, follow that link right on over to the Safari LTD website to get yourself 15% off and buy this beautiful figure or any of the other Safari LTD figures you are interested in. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.